Okay, so we're going to look at the internal organs of the shark. Right here, what we went ahead and did was we made a medial incision all the way down from the jaw all the way to the cloaca, and we made some transverse incisions here, here, and here. We went ahead and opened it up, and we can see some of the organs inside. And what we're going to do is we're going to start up in the anterior region near the head. So we have, again, the rostrum, these little dots are the ampullae of Lorenzini to the jaw, and then we have these external gill slits. So we open up the external gill slits, and what we can see inside is the internal gills. And so they're made up of two different things. We have gill filaments and we have gill rakers. And so when we pull this apart, we can see both of them in here. These soft gray structures right here are going to be the gill filaments, and then these harder structures down at the bottom are going to be the rakers. All right, the hard structures at the bottom are the rakers, and you can see how they're actually serrated, kind of like a rake would be. So gill filaments and gill rakers, and this is where the gas exchange is going to occur. We've looked at the respiratory system very briefly there, so let's go ahead and look at the digestive system. So food is going to enter into the mouth. Right here is the jaw. Food's going to enter into the mouth, and it's going to come into this region, which is the gullet. From the gullet, it's going to travel, which is the esophagus, into the stomach. And so there are two stomachs on a shark. We're going to move this back and look at that. So the first stomach that you come in contact with is the cardiac stomach. And inside of the cardiac stomach, we have all of these finger-like projections. These are called papillae, and papil means nipple. Then in the pyloric stomach, which is the second portion of the stomach, as we opened it up, we have the rugae. And the rugae are these folds that increase when there is food inside, and the stomach extends, and then they contract back down when the food has been digested. So again, cardiac, pyloric stomach. Then it goes into the series of intestines where it's divided into different parts. You have the first part, the second part, and the third part. The first part is the duodenum or duodenum. You've heard that word probably said different times. The duodenum, or this first part, has the spleen off of it. And lien means spleen, so that's this organ right here. If you follow the duodenum over here to the second part, this is the ileum. Inside of the ileum is the spiral valve. And this is an important part of it because what happens is the spiral valve, which are all these little folds inside, increase the surface area inside of the intestines for more absorption of nutrients for them. So again, duodenum to the ileum, and then it ends in the colon here, and then out the cloaca. So this is kind of like our digestive system. Some other things that help in digestion are going to be our pancreas, which is this right here. And I sometimes say pancake pancreas, it's that cream color. And then you have this large structure, which makes up about 20% of the body weight of a shark. This is its liver. And the liver is divided into three sections. So you have the right liver, the medial liver, and the left liver. On the medial liver, you have the gallbladder, which is this area, and it helps to make the bile, or the liver makes the bile and stores the bile inside of the gallbladder that helps to break things down later on. So if we move the liver over to the side, we can look at a couple other features here. This first one is going to be the gonad. These are the ovaries, because this is a female. And the ovaries lead to what's known as a nidamental gland, which is this one right here where sperm is stored. And then it leads to the uterus, which is this sac right here where the pups are stored. When the pups are ready to be birthed, they'll exit the cloaca. There are two of these, so there are going to be one on each side. So if we flip things over, we're going to see the same thing on this side. Okay? If we're looking over on this back area, we can see a couple things. We can see this gland right here, this finger-like projection, and this is the rectal gland, which helps to regulate salt. If we pull this over here again, we can see this darker region right here, and this region is actually known as the kidney. And again, those are bilaterally symmetrical, so if we push things over, we're going to see it again on this side. So this is the kidney right here. It's going through and it's going to be filtering all of the blood. All right, so there's two cavities here. We have the pleural peritoneal cavity and we have the pericardial cavity, and that means we're talking about the heart, and that's what this structure is right here. So it's got to be divided, and it's divided by what's known as a transverse septum, which is this tissue, so it's separating the two areas on the body here. Let's just make sure we got everything. If we're looking at the heart, we'll just quickly mention this. You have the atrium on both sides and the center ventricle that leads to the conus arteriosus and then to the ventral aorta, to the afferent brachial arteries here. So that's kind of a quickie on the circulatory system there for you. Okay, so that wraps up what you need to know for the internal structures of the shark. We're going to look at some of the other ones, the muscles and the cartilage here in just a second. Thanks.